you're a car person like myself, driving a manual car is awesomely fun. So today I'm going to show you how to drive a manual car properly. So to take you through the process, I've decided to use my Porsche 997. Welcome on board. First thing first, whether you are driving an automatic or a manual transmission, always get to know the instruments of your car. It's very important to understand your instruments before you get started. Now let's take a look at the tachometer. Why is this relevant? Now you may ask me. Okay, so the tachometer is an instrument that shows the engine speed basically. So now when you look at the gauge, you will find the running number from 0 to 9. Now these numbers represent the engine speed, which is also known as RPM, which stands for revolutions per minute. Each unit represents 1000 revolutions per minute. So in this case, 1 is 1000, 2 is 2000, and so forth. Hopefully you get the drift. Okay, moving forward, you will see this red line over here. This means this is the limit of the engine rev. Now, anything passes this red line is bad news. Now really you don't want to pass this red line, because anything after this red line, there is no more power from the engine. So really there's no point. Plus over a long term, you will also damage the engine as well. Now most of the cars typically run between 6 to 7,000 RPM before hitting the red line. However, a high performance or supercar can reach up to 9,000 RPM. So now that you understand what is the tachometer, I will now explain further. For a manual car, if you are just driving slowly or cruising, you can actually change gear anywhere between 2 to 5,000 RPM. Now if you are in a hurry, you wanted to drive as fast as possible, then by all means push the rev just before hitting the red line and then change to the next gear. Now you know why I want to explain the tachometer to you. Of course there are a lot more stuff on the other gauges, but I'm not going to go into it today because it's not relevant to the manual transmissions. Moving forward is the pedal. Now doesn't matter whether it's a right-hand drive or a left-hand drive vehicle, all pedals positions and functions are the same. Now okay, let's take a look over here. We have 4 pedals. Yes, I know what you are thinking, that's a lot of pedal, but don't let this pedal stress you out. I like to think of it as a dancing instrument. Okay, let's start with the gas pedal. This is the gas pedal on the right hand side. This is the brake pedal in the middle, and this is the clutch on the third pedal. Lastly is what we call this, the fourth pedal is what we call a dead pedal. Now there is no function for this pedal other than letting you resting your foot on it. There is a reason for that. You are not supposed to rest your foot on the clutch pedal, because by resting your foot on the clutch pedal, the pressure from your foot can cause unnecessary wear and tear on your clutch. So that is why you use the dead pedal for resting. Another important tip when you operating the clutch pedal, never anchor your heel at the bottom, never move your foot like the gas pedal. That's the wrong way. You want to use your whole leg like this, and remember, always pushing it all the way in, and make sure you must release it all the way out like this. Okay, so all the way in, all the way out. Okay, some clutches can be quite heavy depending on what car you are driving. They're all slightly different, so it's just a matter of feel. Now if you are driving in an automatic, then you only have 2 pedals to deal with, which is the gas pedal and the brake pedal. Here's another good tip. If this is your first time and you are just learning how to drive a manual, make sure you wear proper and sensible shoes. High heel or heavy duty boots, really definitely not recommended. Once you learn how to drive, then you can wear whatever you want. Next, get to know the stick, which is this, or you can call it the shifter. What does the stick do? Well, it puts the transmissions in different gears. Now take a look over here. On top of the knob, you can see this hatch pattern marking over here. Okay. Now basically it tells you the positions of the gearing, i.e. that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And of course over here is R, which is the reverse. Again, depending what car you are driving, typically there are 5 speed and some older car only run with 4 speed. But most modern supercar today can go up to 6 or even 7 speed. Here is a very good example. My car is running with 6 speed. As you can see, that's number 6 over there. The other important things you need to know is finding the neutral, meaning the car is not in gear. Doesn't matter what car you are driving, a manual neutral is always at the same spot which is in the middle, and you will know if the stick wobble from left to right like this. Okay, let's practice a dry run without starting the engine. First, I must clutch in and then going in with the first gear like this. Once the gear is engaged, now you can feel the stick doesn't wobble anymore. Now to follow through the second, third, fourth gear, all it's the same cycle. Clutch in, drop to second, okay, and then clutch out, and then clutch in, drop to third, clutch out, clutch in, drop to fourth, clutch out, and so forth. Okay, then of course you're back to neutral, which is, again, you can feel the stick, you can move from left to right. And then to go into reverse, every car is different again depending what car you're driving. In this case, in my Porsche, basically it says go far left and upright, so you're going to push all the way to the left and upright. As soon as you engage the reverse gear, you will hear a beep sound to confirm that you are in reverse gear. Again, do take note, not all reverse gear end up in the same spot depending on what car you are driving. Now typically with modern car today, you will hear a beep sound confirming you are engaged in reverse gear, so that's another way of knowing you are in reverse. Alright guys, before we start the actual run, I just want to highlight a very important point to you. Always remember to lift off your gas pedal every time when you change a gear. Now if you don't lift off during your gear change, your car will launch aggressively, which is not set for you. Now with all the basic stuff explained, I think it's time to get things moving. Before you start, my advice, always find a big, empty space or a controlled environment, and make sure it's a flat surface to learn how to drive. Okay, let's get going. For me, first thing, when I get into the car, I make sure that my sitting position is comfortable, and my legs and arms are all in the right positions. What is right or wrong position? It's all about common sense and sensible. You want to make sure both your legs can reach all the pedals without fully stretched like this. This is no good, because if you overstretch, you can get tired easily, and if it's too close like this, then you end up too cramped and uncomfortable to drive. So you need to find the balance, and that goes with the arm and the leg, so basically it's all about common sense. Once you're comfortable, first thing is to apply your foot brake like this, and then clutch in. Check if the stick is in neutral or in gear. Now if it's in gear, all you have to do is bring it back to neutral, and always remember, every time when you clutch in, it's disengaged, and when you clutch out, it means it's engaged. Okay, so remember that. Some cars also require both clutch and foot brakes to apply together before you can start the engine. First, the seatbelt, very important. Okay, right, let's start the engines. Clutch in together with your foot brakes, then go ahead, select your first gear, push it in, and then off your e-brake, and now slowly release the clutch pedal, and towards the end of the release, you can feel the car started to move forward, and this means the clutch and the gear is fully engaged. At this point, as you can see, I'm not even using the gas pedal. So once the car is rolling, all you have to do is apply a bit of gas to increase the speed. There you go. If you're just cruising, you can change gear around 2,000 to 3,000 RPM, clutch in, drop in the gear, second gear, clutch out, back on the throttle. That's it. Okay, and as we go on, the same cycle will repeat again. Moving up to third gear, clutch in, drop it into third gear, clutch out, back on the throttle. Okay, so not that difficult, right? Now, if you're in a hurry, what you can do is you can change your gear a little bit at a higher rate. very simple. Don't overthink. Just keep practice, and practice make perfect. This will be fine. What if we don't get it right? What's gonna happen? One thing, if you don't give it enough gas upon clutch out or popping out the clutch too quickly, the worst it could happen is stalling the engine. So no big deal, you see. The car just jerk a little and no harm done. Or the other possibility is if you give it too much gas, then you will end up spinning the tires. Spinning the tires is definitely cooler than stalling the engine, but having said that, you don't want to do either, because spinning the tires, you're gonna wear out your tires and your clutch, and stalling the engine on the other hand is just, embarrassing. Okay, next we're gonna talk about how to tackle an uphill drive. Okay, as we all know, when you're out driving about, there is no such thing as perfect road conditions. Now in this case, you will encounter hilly road at some point, and handling an uphill road while stopping requires slightly different technique. Now let me show you how to overcome such conditions, okay? First, let's fire up the engine. Okay, so everything as per normal, okay, except this time round, we are going to use the handbrake, or some will call it the e-brake, okay? So all we have to do now is clutch in, foot brake is on, engage first gear. To do next is to take off your foot brake like this. Now the only thing that's stopping the car is the e-brake, okay? Now as you all see, as soon as I release the e-brake, the car will roll backward. There you go. So the car is now rolling backward, and you don't want that to happen, right? If there's a car at the back, bad news for you. So basically, how to control the car from rolling backward on a hill slope is e-brake on, okay? Clutch in, foot brake on, first gear in place. Now, off your foot brake, release the clutch halfway until you see the RPM drop a little bit. Once the RPM drop a little bit, apply a little bit of gas, and then off the e-brake, gently release the e-brake, and then more throttle, and then off you go. There you go. Not that difficult, right? Okay, don't get all too stressed up. After a few practice, you'll be fine, okay? Now finally, we're going to talk about how to stop and park the car properly. Okay, stopping the car part is easy. Always park the gear, first of all, foot brake on, you're on neutral, cue the engine. Now always park with a gear engaged together with your e-brake, like this. Okay, now this is for double safety, just in case if your e-brakes fail, your car will still remain parked because the gear will actually hold it in place, okay? So that's how you're supposed to park your car. Alright, I think that's about all the help I can give you beginners. So now that you know how manual works, don't overthink, just go out and practice make perfect. Now if you have any other further questions, do leave me a comment and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. And the last thing I want to say to you is now stay safe out there and good luck. My name is Zen. Bye for now.